Hi, this is Katie from HENO. Today I wanted to talk about contract renegotiations. So I think the buzz around this time of year is what's Medicare going to do with their fee schedule? Are they going to increase it? Is it going to be neutral? Are we going to go down a percent again? I think that's a big topic and a big worry for a lot of therapists. And to be fair, is there much that we can do with that? Not really. However, there is something that we can do for our commercial payers. And that thing is making sure that we're at least yearly renegotiating our contracts with those payers. So your private insurance companies, your work comp, your Blue Cross, your Cigna, United Healthcare, Aetna, all of those different companies, you are reaching out to them and working out a way to get your reimbursement a little bit higher. Now, everyone knows with inflation, the cost of everything is going up, from employees to cost of goods, supplies, gas, tolls, everything is higher every single year, it seems, right? So we certainly would take a lot of the pressure off if we were able to make a few more dollars per visit with some of the patients that we're seeing. So I want to give you a few tips on how we go about doing this. So number one is making sure that you know what your cost per slot is. So if you have 10 slots per day, how much is each slot worth to break even? So you need to factor in all of your expenses. So it could be all of your fixed expenses, which are going to be the same cost all the time, right? So your rent, typically, electric, water, that stuff is around the same every month. You're going to look at costs of goods that are possibly variable. Are you buying a lot of electrodes, therabins? Are you cleaners, toilet paper? All of those different things you're going to factor in. And then, of course, another fixed expense is going to be your team, which is going to be your most expensive. But you want to figure out that on a daily basis and then also on a slot basis. So that way you are in a better understanding of how much should I ask for? Because for an example, I don't want you to be treating a patient and you're losing money, and I don't want you to be asking for an increase and it just makes it so you're break even. You want to get to a point where you know how much to ask for, where it's going to be beneficial for you to see that insurance. So number two would be making sure that you have the contact that you need to be talking to. And so that could take a little bit more due diligence to figure out who your provider rep is, because from experience, I can tell you sometimes they'll change 6 times in 6 months. And so it is very hard to keep track of who your provider rep is. So a simple thing that I do is I just find any email of anybody I can find from that insurance company and I start blasting them. Who is my provider rep? Who is the current provider rep? Please, forward my email to them or connect me to them or route me in the direction I need to find this person. And so eventually we'll be able to reach out to them, either phone call or email, and start talking to them about what my needs are at this time. Two very important things to highlight. So when you are asking for an increase, you want to make sure that you are highlighting any specialties that you have. So if you're seeing lymphedema, if you are seeing patients for hand therapy, if you're seeing vestibular disorders, if you're seeing pediatrics, if you're seeing anything that isn't the straight general outpatient orthopedic type patients, that is a huge draw for them. If you've added OT onto your caseload, if you've added any therapists that have specialty certifications, that is a huge thing to highlight and make sure that they know, because they want to have those specialty and niche therapists in their pocket so that they can know where to send patients. So that's definitely something that would be huge. Another one is your patient outcomes. So you really have to highlight the importance of getting good outcomes, right? Most private practice owners, we have a really good handle on how to get patients better, how to get them to love us, how to get them to be compliant and get to the point where they are going from point A to point B, and it's a huge transformation. And so we have to showcase that to the insurance companies. So if you're doing outcome forms at the evaluations, at their progress reports, at their discharge, and showing that progression. And it could be as simple as you're pulling stats to say, every patient that I have seen fills out outcome forms, and this is the percentage of how many make it from eval to discharge and back to functional optimal performance. So that is definitely something that you want to make sure you're included in there. Now, asking for an increase once a year is definitely a necessity, because if you don't ask, you're getting nothing. So the worst thing that they could say when you ask is, no, sorry, there's nothing we can do. Okay, well, let's reevaluate this in the next year and try this again. But if you're not asking, there's never going to be a chance that they call you up and tell you they're going to increase your rates. That just doesn't happen. One thing you could kind of put into this, though, is having almost like you do with rent. So if you're renting your office space, you sign the lease for, let's say, $25 a square foot. You know next year it's going to go up 3%. The year after that, it's going to go up another 3%. So you could do something like that with your contract renegotiation. So you're not having to do it every year and it's increasing 3% or 4% or 5%, whatever you think is realistic over the next few years so that you're not dealing with it constantly every single year. But I can tell you it is definitely worth your time as an owner or an administrator to make sure that you are doing this on a very regular basis with all of your payers. So I hope this helps and I hope it inspires you to go out there and really take action.